Hey everyone, so I have a little bit of a kiln update for you. We started with a load of basswood and we dried that down to 6 or 7% and it went pretty well. I think the biggest issue is that we had the shell drying much faster than the core, but at the end of the day, it's a very low density porous wood. So that went pretty well. Then we moved on to some 4/4 ash, and I think there actually might be some cherry in that batch too. And we started off at 110 degrees, and the humidity in the kiln ended up being about 22% when the air from the outside heated up to 110 degrees. I can't remember what the equilibrium moisture content is at 110 degrees, 22% relative humidity, but I'll put it on the screen right here. So that's pretty dry. And we don't have a way of adding moisture right now to the air. So what that meant is that the shell was drying really, really fast compared to the core of the wood. And so we were getting these, 5 to 8% moisture gradient moisture differences between the shell and the core. And that's pretty extreme. So as far as I understand, you don't really want to go above like 3 to 4% of a difference between the shell and the core. Because it just creates so much tension and internal stresses that the wood starts to have a lot of internal cracking throughout the wood, and that's called honeycomb. So that is a pretty big challenge right now. What we really need is that EMC value to be higher than the shell but lower than the core. And like I said, we don't really want to go beyond like a 3 to 4% difference between the shell and the core. But we aren't able to add moisture. So the only way we could raise the EMC a little bit was to decrease the temperature. And unfortunately, decreasing the temperature also slows down the drying process, because once you get, below, I think it's 20% moisture content in the wood, all the water is bound in the cell walls and it's not freely accessible. It has to diffuse through the cell walls. And that bound water takes a lot of energy to do that, specifically heat energy. And having a low temperature, like 95 degrees or even lower than that, really reduces the rate at which that diffusion happens. And that's going to be pretty slow, I think, with the current temperature. With the current temperature, I believe the humidity is closer to 35%. And here's the EMC for that combination of temperature and relative humidity. So what we're doing is we're just running the kiln for a few days. We're not going to vent it all, just because whenever we bring in outside air, the equivalent relative humidity inside is lower. It ends up being lower than the humidity was originally. So, which makes sense. If there's a little bit of moisture from the wood evaporating into the air, the outdoor air tends to be more dry. So we're going to get some rain this weekend, and I'm wondering if that will be a good opportunity to bring in some of that outdoor air, and hopefully the absolute humidity will be higher outside at that point than in the kiln, and we can really get some more moisture in there. Usually steam would be a great way to increase the relative humidity and the temperature consequently, but we don't have that. So we're just kind of working with what we have right now, and we're gonna figure it out. So we're gonna try running this for, I think today's day number 2. So we'll open up the kiln on Friday and see if that core got down any lower. I would imagine it will be a couple percent lower, but only time will tell. So once we do that, I will let you guys know how it went and what our current shell and core moisture contents are, and we'll take it from there. Hope you guys enjoyed this update. Talk to you soon.